So today we are going to be doing our second recording of the Social Selling for Distributors webinar. And we are going to be talking about crafting your social media strategy. My name is Gloria Lafont and I'm going to be your host. I'm the president of Action Marketing, and this is a series of webinars that we're doing to help distributors make the most out of social media. So let's go over the agenda for today. We're going to be talking about why social media. This is a little bit of a recap from our first webinar that we did. And then we're going to be talking about the steps to craft your strategy. The first one is setting realistic objectives as far as what you can expect to achieve from social media. And then your foundation and your brand. Then the next step is the 6 steps to crafting a social media plan. Then some do's and don'ts, and then the tools and resources to help you get all this done. So just briefly, why bother with social media? Everybody is in social media these days. Social media is within reach at all times. Most people access it through their phones. It's very easy to access any platform. It is addictive, and it has lots and lots of interaction. So we saw some stats about how many millions of users there are in every platform. So any platform that you choose, there's going to be a lot of people in it that are, and some of them are going to be likely to be your clients. That doesn't mean that you have to be in all of them, but just the number of people using it tells you that you have to be there. And people are very, very active in it. There is tons and tons of interactions of all kinds. You're constantly talking to other people, you're writing reviews, asking questions, sharing, searching, etc. So that's why you want to be there. You want to be in the middle of that conversation when there is a talk about promotional products. So let's talk about the objectives. The first step is to be very clear on the objectives that you should set for your strategy, because your strategy is going to be your overall marketing strategy, where you have set how the growth goals that you have and your vision and where you want to go with your business. So on social media is a tool. Being that it's a tool, then you want to set how is this going to play into your big strategy. So objectives include, you are going to be able to increase visibility of your brand. You are going to drive traffic to your website. You are going to be building expert status. You are going to be meeting potential clients. You can increase repeat sales, and you can increase referrals. All of these are objectives that you can have, all of these are things that you can accomplish through social media. So the first one, you want to increase visibility of your brand, and for that, you have to stand out. You cannot blend in, because if you blend in, you're not going to get anyone's attention. So you want to work on building a brand that is distinct and differentiated. Then you also, everything you're doing on social media, a lot of what you're doing is to drive traffic to your website. You want people to come to your place of business so that you can close them. So that's really one of the big goals and one of the big things that you want to accomplish on all this social media effort. So you also want to meet potential clients. This is a gigantic networking space. So it's a good place to meet clients because they're out there. It's also a good place to build expert status, and we are going to look at how we do all of these things, but this is the right place for that. And you also want to increase and encourage repeat business and referrals, because since your clients are also on social media, as you interact with them and you are present and they see you, they will come back and they will send referrals to you. I'm sure you have seen that sometimes people are asking for recommendations, and if your clients are there, they're going to refer you business. Okay, so step number 2 is your foundation. And your foundation is very important to have in mind, because there's things that change. Things are always changing in online. All the platforms are constantly being updated and changing the way they find and show information. But if you have a good foundation, that foundational stuff is not going to change. You have to kind of be aware of any adjustments that you may have to make, but it's not like everything you're doing is going to be lost. So what is the foundation? What do I mean by foundation? First of all is your marketing equation. That's the name that I gave it. This is really something very old concept. It's called direct response marketing. Direct response is all about the message matching your audience and matching the vehicles. So you have to have that match between message, audience, and vehicles. And today people are very much focused on the vehicles, and this is what social media channels are, they're vehicles. So that's why if you have your message and your audience right, you can change vehicles at any point, because you just have to go somewhere else with your message and your audience. So I know that many times, many distributors have a hard time defining the target audience. Your target audience is your perfect client. Who is your perfect client? Who of your clients would you love to clone? And sometimes you think, well, everybody can be my client. I have such a broad range of clients and it's hard. But you do need to narrow it down, because when you think about it, there are things that your clients have in common. The more you know about this, the easier it will be to find new ones that are good ones for you. So think about, who would you love to have as a client? For this, you have to think not only on the person, because sometimes I think a lot of people think about how to describe the person I deal with within a company, but you really do have to start by the company. What kind of company makes it a good organization for you to be targeting? What kinds of companies do you like to work with? What are their size? What are their specialties? Could be by industry. And then from there, the positions that the people who normally you would deal with have, and then who are those people? What are their characteristics in the context of the company? Because I find that sometimes you deal with someone that you really have a good relationship, and the company doesn't really worry so much about price, and they really have a lot of trust in you, and it's none of that is a problem. But then the employee leaves and goes to another company, and you want to continue that relationship, but now this employee moved to a nonprofit organization where they are watching every penny. And so they may no longer be a good target for you, because in that context, it's just not a good match for you anymore. So that's why those two things are very important. Now, you want to know your perfect client intimately. You want to know what are their challenges, what is a day in their lives like, what do they have to put up with, their bosses, all those things. Because the more you know about that, the more you can help them. And the more you can, when you're creating your content and your messaging, the more you can address that and explain that you are the person that can help them, because you totally get them. So that's why you need to know your audience. And this is a process. You are always learning about your audience. Okay, so the next thing is your marketing message. Your marketing message, of course, has to talk to your audience. You want to only talk to your audience. And you want to, again, answer their questions, know what their pain points are, what their aspirations are, so that you can address those. Okay, so much for the marketing equation. Now, the next thing that you absolutely need as a foundational piece is your website. Your website is your place of business in today's marketplace. And I cannot say that enough. You probably have heard me say that many times, if you have heard me ever say anything. because your website replaces the location, is where people are going to find out who you are, how they're going to know what you stand for, your personality, if they actually want to even work with you. So an effective website, what makes a website effective? First of all, you want your website to not be generic, because if a website is generic things only show generic stuff. So it doesn't really show anything special about you, and that's why doesn't work. It's not effective. It also represents your business well. It looks professional. You are in the branding business, so you have got to have professional looking images, professional looking design. It also demonstrates your value, and it positions you as the go-to expert, and it has to be mobile responsive. Now, going back to the go-to expert, generally speaking, nobody likes to work with average providers. Do you? Would you like to go to an average dentist, an average doctor, an average hairdresser? No, right? You want to go to an expert, the best one. So you have to be positioned as the expert and the best one in your market. Okay, so the third piece that you need in your foundation is your content. Now, you hear the word content a lot these days. So what makes content good, right? You want to develop your own content strategy. So what kind of content are you going to produce? Based on what? The first thing you need to know is know your keywords. So what do I mean by that? What are people typing on the browsers? So your keywords are what people are typing on the browsers. And there could be different things, tons of different things that people could be typing when they need promotional products. A good place to also figure out keywords is when people ask questions in general. That's how they refer to these things. Sometimes we get very used to talking in a very technical way with the industry jargon, and people speak in a different way. So you want to really find all of those things out, because when you know what people are typing and how people are searching for information, that's how you can develop your own topics. Now, to develop your own topics, you want to base that on your specialties that you want to promote, because even though you can sell anything to anyone, there are things that are easier for you to sell than others, and that you have more knowledge about than others. So you want to focus on that, and you want to push that, because it's going to be much easier. If you've done a lot of research because you're selling a lot of items for trade shows, it's going to be much easier the second time somebody wants to buy items for trade shows, because you already did all that research and all that legwork. That's why it is very important to define 3 or 4 specialties. 2 is fine, and 1 is even better. But you get the idea. So once you have decided what your specialties are going to be and what the keywords that relate to those specialties are, based on that, you are going to write content for your website. And that's how you write not only blog posts, which is important, but you also want to write your own website pages where you expand about these services and the products that you focus on and all these things. So it has to be both web pages and blog posts. Then, as you write these blog posts, I'm going to further down the line, I'm going to show you how to organize all this content so that you can really access it much easier and repurpose it. But anyway, you are going to basically be breaking down the main ideas of each post into snippets. And then you are going to create different images for each of the posts. And you can also do videos about each post, like each topic. You can write a blog post. You can have images that refer to that. You can do videos where you talk about a little snippet of it, one of the main ideas, and it's all related to the same topic. What that does is that then your website has a lot of information about one particular topic. And that's how you are an expert, because you have a lot of information about one particular topic. And it's much better because that really has a tremendous compounding effect. That works much better than having a ton of different topics spread everywhere, because nothing really grows in the same way. So this is a lot more effective. Now, all of this content, what you're doing with this content is that you are basically following your client through their buying cycle. And you want to be aware of that as you write content. And you want to know what are the different stages are, because as you know, rarely people will go and buy something without having done a little research of it or finding out that somebody exists, right? So as you want to be aware of what happens in each of these stages. So awareness, in the awareness stage, your prospect is aware of the fact that you exist. So you want to generate visibility. Then you want to develop authority. And through authority and writing content, your prospect sees you as an expert in your industry, as I just mentioned before. So while they're considering it, they're going to want to go with an expert. Then as they get closer to making a decision, they are going to start trusting you as they evaluate the different options that they may have. You have been able to develop trust on your prospect. And then the opportunity presents itself when your prospect has a need and wants to buy and becomes a client. The job doesn't end there. And then you build a relationship with your clients. And your prospect becomes a client, and a relationship gets formed, and you get to know them, and they get to know you, and they get to trust you, and you become the go-to person for their needs. And that's what know, like, and trust are all about. So to summarize about your foundation, you need to be clear on who your target audience is. You need to write relevant, informative content. You need a website that converts and it's professional. And you want to leverage your client's buying cycle. Okay, so let's go to step number 3, the action plan. Now we're going to get to work. Roll up your sleeves. Okay, so the action plan. Number 1, you want to identify a social media manager. Now, some of you may like, what? I'm here by myself. What do you mean a social media manager? Some of you may be alone, some of you may not. Now, one thing that you want to be aware of, that this is going to generate a certain amount of work and commitment. So if you are going to be your designated social media manager, you need to schedule time to work on this. And I don't mean 10 minutes. I see sometimes people say, oh, social media, 10 minutes a day. Forget it. That's not going to work. If you get into social media, you're gonna be there longer than 10 minutes, very distracted. Forget it, that doesn't work. So what you want to do for this to work, you want to set time aside to plan and to implement. And to me, when I have to plan and implement something, what works for me is Saturday mornings. I spend many times 4 or 5 hours. It's a block of time where nobody's going to interrupt me. Nobody expects me to be in the office, and I am just focused on that. Whatever, some kind of strategic work that I have to do for my business. So I recommend that you find the time. Or if you are going to delegate this on someone, that the person understands their responsibilities and what they're supposed to do, but that is very important. Okay, so then you want to have, the next thing you want to do is have your branded pages, and we went over that on the previous video. So you want to have your pages done properly before you start working on them. You want to have all the information filled out correctly. You want to have the proper size cover images, all of that. Then You are going to develop a planning calendar. We're going to look at this a little later in more detail, but you want to basically plan a whole month at the time. So you want to include major holidays. You know, in this business, we have the big advantage of we can use all of those incredible, senseless, useless holidays that we don't have to use them all, but we want to pick them, you know, the ones that make more sense for us or we want or whatever. But you do want to kind of have maybe once a week have a holiday highlighted. And you also want to determine how many posts per week you're going to be committing to and the times that you're going to be posting. Now, the times, you want to vary them a little bit because in time you want to see what times do you get the best engagement. So the way you find that out is by changing the times a little bit. Yes, there are certain times that tend to be by studies that they have done the most, where you have the most activity, but this really changes from, you know, from one group to another. So you really want to find out what works best for you. So you want to do little tests. And then you want, of course, have the content that you want to be posting. Okay, the next thing is that you have to produce engaging content as we mentioned before. So again, things that are ideas that you can have, that you can use to produce content are holidays, you know, like an International Donut Day or whatever. Weekly tips and advice, weekly tips and advice repeated. You want to post something humorous, you know, in good taste. You want to inspirational quotes are also very good. Highlight and recognize customers, ask questions. Like, for example, you could say, would you like to receive a fidget spinner? And then people can answer their opinions. Also, of course, photos and videos, coupons if you want to, or contests, product overviews, and community events. These are great because you get engagement from your community. You know, if you are participating or if there is a big event that's happening in your town, or if your team won the series or whatever. So those are topics that are very, very timely and make a lot of sense for your social media. Now, the next thing on your action plan, very, very important, show up and participate. That is key. You have to be prepared to do that. Even if you have somebody else managing your social media, you want to know what's going on, respond to questions, and really learn what people are talking about. Continue with the action plan. You want to monitor and track your results. You will see that each social media platform has a little section where you can see how your posts are doing, how many people saw your posts, how many people clicked, any comments and things like that. So you want to look at that. Now, you don't want to be looking at that every day, but you can once a month. I think is good for an analysis purpose, and then you can compare from month to month. And you want to use those results to improve, to understand your audience a little better, their reactions, their interests. So that's what you're going to use that for. And at the beginning, it may not make a lot of sense. You may not have as much activity, but if you continue with this plan, you will see that people start to interact with you more and more. And again, the most important part is the content being relevant. Okay, so let's go over some do's and don'ts. Okay, the first do is to have a website that is mobile responsive, that it's updated and it has good calls to action that speaks to your client. We already went through that, but this is really important. That's why I have to insist. Now, you don't want to link all of your social media profiles together. Don't do that. Some platforms allow you to do that. Don't, because each platform needs a different type of plan, particularly has different particular things. Some things apply to all of them, but each platform has its own peculiar things, so you don't really want to link those together. Then the use of hashtags. Sometimes you see people that use like 7 hashtags. That's terrible. Don't do that. And then also, some networks don't do anything with hashtags. They're meaningless. So you want to first find out if the hashtags are appropriate for the network you're in. Usually Twitter and Instagram are the ones that are big on hashtags. And when you are using hashtags, you want to find out what the top 5 to 10 are for your niche. Okay, now, don't ignore people who post comments, reviews, ask questions on your pages. As soon as you see a comment or something, you have to respond. Somebody leaves a positive review, you want to thank them. If somebody asks a question, you want to answer them immediately. For example, on Facebook, you see there is a little feature that tells people how fast that page responds to inquiries. So you don't want to be one that responds in a week. You want to be one that responds quickly. Anyway, this is important because when you're trying to get engagement and interaction. But very frequently people don't realize this, and especially if you hire someone to do it for you, then you're not prepared to answer anything. You don't expect anything to happen, and sometimes these comments pop up and you want to be there to answer them. Okay, you want to check your pages daily, and you can also set notifications for any comments that you may have. That's useful. You can do this from your phone, so that's good. Now, don't share too many posts from other websites. A lot of people share tons of distributor flyers and supplier flyers or products that are linked to their websites. You don't want to do that. Anything, you can link things like that, but you can post flyers or products, but you want to link them to your own website. You also want to post content that addresses common questions. This is really a really good practice. You want to post about local traditions, causes, current events, and tie them with promo items and things that you offer. And again, you want to show up every day and participate. This is the most important thing. As you show up every day and participate, you will get better at it. Remember what we told last time? Social media is very much like high school. If you're extrovert, then it'll be easier for you to go there and interact and find things to say. And if you're an introvert, you have to learn. Okay, so let's go over tools and resources. Okay, you absolutely need a CRM system. There are some CRM systems that let you see your contacts, social media profiles, and their activity. And this allows you to really be on top of things and in contact. So that is very good. You also need a project or a task management software. I love Trello for this purpose because it allows you to organize the information really well and also share it if you want. And you can have things that are, you have a million ideas and you don't have any place to put them. Here you can have a place to put all the ideas and then see if they're viable or not. But this is an excellent system. Maybe you already have it. Then a content writing and editing tool. We here use Google Docs. We basically have moved away from all Word or Pages software. They're awesome because you don't have to open any software. You go there and it's open. You don't have to save anything. It's just a fantastic tool. You could also share with other people and have people editing and collaborating. So that is an excellent tool. Google Calendar is also a really good tool. It's free and you can have one dedicated calendar to your marketing. scheduling tools such as Hootsuite, Buffer, and Google Analytics. And we are going to look at this in a little bit more detail. Another thing that is very useful is a spreadsheet. Again, we use Google Sheets. So we have a sheet to organize our content, all the content, and then a spreadsheet to organize the social media posts. What this does is that if you have all of your content organized in a spreadsheet, then I'm going to show you just a little example. What that does is that you can very easily access all of your content and see, you find, for example, you want to send a client an article that you wrote about a trade show giveaways, for example. So you go here and very quickly find it instead of going through your website and browsing through places. You find it and you send it to them. Really, you know, here's the link, here's the title. So it's very easy to find. So we recommend that you do this for both for pages and also for blog posts. And we used one that we sent out a lot was the ordering information, art requirements that were on our website, but people don't see it. So you just go and send it to them, and it's very central and a very central place to be found. Now, separately, you want to have your social media posts organized. So here you're going to break it down Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Thursday, Friday, whatever, Wednesday, I forgot Wednesday. So you want to organize all your posts and have the topic, the title, the URL, and the little snippet. We like to have this separate from the content because you're going to ideally have one per month on this, one sheet per month on this posts. And also, you can take this sheet and upload it to some of the scheduling tools that we're going to look at right now. So these are really good to have like that. And it's, again, it's a good way to find out, you know, because some of these you can reuse, but then you don't want to use them every day. You want to kind of spread it out. And so this is a very good way to organize your posts. Then, of course, Google Calendar is a great tool. I would recommend that you mark on the calendar, on your social media calendar, you mark all the major holidays, breaks, you know, spring break or whatever. And if there's any main event in your town, like here in Fort Lauderdale, we have the boat show, for example, or we have certain festivals, and we have the Art Basel in Miami. So you would mark those things because they will give you material or things that will be relevant when the time comes. So you want to have that ahead of you. You know, if you're planning ahead of time, you don't want to wait till the day to post something and come up with an idea. You want to do that ahead of time. So that's why Google Calendar is really, really useful for that. It also helps you see that you have enough mix of things. And also your anniversary, very important. If an employee of yours, their birthday, their anniversary, whatever milestone you want to highlight in there. So you look at that as you're going to schedule and plan your posts. Then as far as scheduling tools, there are many, many, many. So we love Hootsuite. We tried a number of them. Hootsuite is really good. It's free for, I think, 3 or 4 networks, I believe. And you can upload your posts as in a spreadsheet. So that really saves a lot of time. Yes, of course, you have to put the time aside to actually get your spreadsheet done, but this is really very useful, and you can have all your things going out without, and you're doing something else. You don't have to worry about that. So I highly recommend that you do that. Even if you're not prepared to upload the whole month worth of posts, you can still do a week, for example. Start with little steps, okay? The whole point is that you start. Then there are other tools that I want to mention. For example, Feedly is a tool that allows you to aggregate publications, post, you know, articles from different publications and blogs. So you want to find those that would be interesting to your audience. If your audience is in the industry of software, for example, then you may want to find articles about that and about software companies, and then you would be ahead of yourself. You would be able to participate in things that are coming up or news that are relevant at a good time, and also understand better their industry, where you can recommend products and you can come up with ideas for your own articles that are going to be related to that. So there is all kinds of publications and blog posts for every single industry. So you want to take the time to research and find those that are going to be most beneficial for you, that you are going to have more information that you want to use. Then, of course, there is the holiday site calendars. There is a ton. This is the one we like and that we use. It's calendar-365.com/holidays, and it has all kinds of holidays listed. You can use any, but you want to have one, and I recommend that you have it on your blog, on your spreadsheet that you use for your social media. You have a first sheet with all your resources, and then you list things there that you can refer to easily. Okay, so then there are some design tools that are also very useful and free. Canva is a good one. It already has the size of the posts, the size of the images for the different social media places. So you want to use, you can have your own templates there and change it and have your own colors, upload your logo and things like that. They have a free level that you can do most things with that. And then we love Keynote. We use Keynote a lot, but both PowerPoint, Keynote, or Google Slides, which we're also using, you can adjust the size of the slide. So you can have your for example, one set of slides to design your blog post images. And that way you ensure that you have consistency, that everything looks similar. You can have a look that you like. And I think that they're really a fantastic resource. It has a lot of little clip art that you could use that looks fantastic. So I recommend that you explore that. By the way, this is also Keynote and PowerPoint and Google Slides also make a great presentation slides for your clients. If you wanted to have like a brochure, but instead of a brochure, have it in a set of slides about your company, and you could have a bit of your history, your clients, logos, and sample work, some kind of case studies that you want to show off to send new prospects. This makes it very easy to do that. That was digressing, which I do a lot. Okay, so continuing on the tools and resources, there are also places where you can get free images, royalty-free images. These are, Unsplash is fantastic. Photos Find is very similar to Upslash. And Vecteezy has a lot of vector images that you can modify if you want, and they have a lot of free ones that will give you a lot of mileage from that. Then some last thoughts. I know this is a lot, and I really hope that at least you have a better idea of action steps that you're going to take, because watching this and listening to me is not enough. You have to actually go and do something. And the best advice that I give anyone is to just show up. You want to go and participate, you want to go and explore, and the more you do it, the easier it will become. And remember that what you're doing every day by showing up and participating is a little bit like, or a lot like spreading seeds everywhere about your business that are eventually going to start growing in different places that you don't expect, and eventually you're going to be reaping the benefits. You're going to have a strong forest out there. Again, show up every day and participate. The action steps are up to you. Even if you just are going to take one step, that will be a lot. But the important thing is to implement.
That concludes today's session. Thank you so much for your time in watching this video. I hope you found it useful. And now go do your homework and implement. Go be successful. And if you have any questions, post them on the Facebook group and we will get to you.